Unit 6, Lesson 4, Peacemaking Principles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conflict Resolution and Peacemaking, the class that teaches you how to manage interpersonal conflict and drama for yourself and others. I'm your instructor, David Lowry. Here's a peacemaking tip. We subscribe to Marshall Rosenberg's view that anger is a clear signal of an unmet need. Rosenberg says, behind every angry feeling is a precious unmet need. In his book, Nonviolent Communication, Rosenberg advises us to 1. Objectively describe the events preceding the anger, 2. Identify the precise feeling one carries when they feel upset, and 3. Uncover the unmet need that is stirred by the event. We want to offer a simple but effective exercise for helping individuals identify feelings and needs. First, one obtains a list of feelings as well as a list of needs from the internet. These are easy to find and numerous lists are available. Next, the person thinks about the situation causing the conflict or drama in their life, and they circle the top 5 emotions and needs from each list. They select the ones that resonate the most with them as they think about their particular situation. Finally, one pairs an appropriate feeling with the correct need. You ask, am I feeling X because I need Y? For instance, am I feeling sad because I need to be understood? A certain amount of guessing is involved, and it may take a few tries. However, when the appropriate feeling and need are correctly paired together, there will be a lock and key feeling of understanding. This process can be emotionally satisfying and relieving to identify how one is feeling precisely and to know what precious need they are protecting. A variation of this exercise in peacemaking is to get 2 people in conflict to do the activity together and allow the mediator to share the results and find similarities. Peacemaking 101 Principles. Now let's continue with our podcast for the day. We've been discussing the peacemaker model of anger management, transforming anger into useful expressions of assertiveness and advocacy. So let's look at some specific peacemaking principles that can help us. Number 1, let's remember the peacemaking approach to anger management. The first thing we want to do is remind peacemakers of the 3 elements of anger management, which includes channeling your energy into cooperative and productive problem-solving approaches. Number 2, clearly stating your wants and needs while balancing them with the wants and needs of others. And it's always respectful and never aggressive. And number 3, advocacy, suggesting practical means for carrying out changes that are needed. The second thing we want you to remember is that anger is normal, but aggression is not. Even though anger makes people uncomfortable, it is a normal and natural emotion that should be expected in frustrating situations. Since anger is one of the most common emotions expressed, peacemakers must learn how to become more comfortable as they observe people expressing it. As peacemakers encounter anger, they aim to help others channel this emotion into productive solutions instead of allowing it to run unchecked. Aggression, or the willingness to intentionally harm another, is neither normal nor permissible, and this includes verbal as well as physical aggression. Should the peacemaker encounter aggressive behaviors, people should be warned and parties should be separated in separate rooms or locations if possible. A third thing to remember is that you should always stress cooperation instead of competition. Competition keeps people locked in conflict until one party overcomes the other. Competitive approaches produces winners and losers, which may be helpful in hard-nosed business negotiations, but this approach is less successful in building strong interpersonal bonds. Those who spend time together often with one another function best when relational approaches are used that consider the interest of all concerned. Sometimes people in conflict need to be made aware of the downsides of competitive problem solving. Wherever possible, peacemakers should identify places where competition has become embedded and gently work to find suitable alternatives. A fourth thing we'd like to mention is silence. We have a helpful tip for you. When someone says they will do something and they don't follow through, Try the salesperson's version of advocacy known as the silent technique. Generally speaking, people don't like longer than expected pauses in a conversation. When it happens, tension develops. It's simple to use and works like this: make a statement, keep silent, and wait for the person to address what you said. Don't say anything until they do. Here's an example. Let's pretend I'm talking to John about the money he owes me. So I say, John, you said you would pay me $500 at the end of the month. It's now the 10th of the month and I haven't been paid. Now be silent and wait for a response. Remember, silence builds tension. After a certain amount of tension, John will speak. You're right. I need to get you the money. Once he says that, establish when John will pay you. The silent technique isn't rude or overly demanding. You clearly state the objective facts and then, using the power of silence, allow enough tension to develop so the other person feels a need to explain how they will honor the agreement. The silent technique may not work every time, but it is an effective way of asserting and advocating for yourself. Number 5, teach people how to assert their wants and needs appropriately. People have a right to be assertive, but they often don't know how to do it in a way that doesn't offend everyone. Peacemakers help people state their wants and needs in a way that promotes cooperation instead of competition. Show people the technique for identifying their wants and needs by circling them on a list and helping them to craft a statement. Done successfully, many people discover that their needs are often not different. Number 6, advocate with emotional intelligence. It's one thing to assert a need and another to propose means and methods for resolving it. Peacemakers help participants assert their needs and craft emotionally intelligent requests. Emotionally intelligent recommendations are respectful, non-evaluative, and logically designed to minimize anger and negativity. Here's a tip that's very helpful: wishes versus wants. Instead of using language such as, I want you to do such and such, say, I wish we would do such and such. The words, I wish we would do so and so, are softer and more inclusive. They indicate something that could be done together. Here are a few more examples where we use the word wish. Instead of saying, I expect you to call me anytime you work late, say, I wish you would call me when you must work late. Instead of saying, you always want to go to the beach when I want to go to the mountains, just say, I wish we would go to the mountains instead of the beach. Instead of saying, you need to get the baby from the sitter today, say, I wish you would get baby Jane from the sitter today. Number 8, make suggestions instead of demands. Most people don't like it when other people place demands on them. They would rather hear your idea and consider it than be told what to do. Suggestions are questions and phrases that allow others to agree, provide additional input, or counter with something entirely different. Which of the following 2 statements is less demanding? I've decided we're all going to eat Mexican food tonight. Or, what do you think? Wouldn't it be nice to eat Mexican food tonight? The second statement allows for more input and understanding. Framing our wants and desires as a suggestion allows for additional information and the possibility of an even better outcome. Let's be careful and mindful about freedom versus imposition. We should avoid imposing our wants and desires on others. It's okay that we want to do something, but that doesn't mean that others are less justified in wanting to do something else. For instance, just because you want to ride your bike for 20 miles on a warm summer day doesn't mean everybody else does. As much as possible, give people the autonomy to do what they want. Number 10, give people the freedom to choose or refuse. Like our discussion just now, freedom of choice also means that we extend one the right of refusal without a negative response. Though we all understand this concept, it is harder to accept when those we love choose to go their own way. Choices such as choosing a new religion or no faith at all, moving to a new place, accepting a different job, gender identity, and the like can be very stressful, especially when they deviate from expected norms. But it's the right of people to choose for themselves in these matters. Avoid othering. One emotionally intelligent way of advocating for others is to avoid othering. Othering is the us versus them mentality. Othering is based on stereotypes and assumptions about what people think or do. It's a form of marginalization where people ridicule, demonize, or persecute those who differ from them. Othering behavior is the basis of much prejudicial and inhumane treatment, including genocide. Here are some examples. People like that have never owned homes, so they wouldn't know how to take care of them if they had them. Those people don't think like we do. These people are ruining the country and must be stopped. The role of peacemakers in situations like these is to avoid taking sides or agreeing with any viewpoint associated with othering, and work at reframing othering statements so they provide equality and worthiness. Reframing means we take something that's been said and reinterpret it to be more relevant. For example, if a person says, "These people don't belong on the board, they wouldn't even know what to do if we let them have a voice," a reframe of this statement would be, "With a little training on policies and procedures, they would be fantastic board members." So today we talked about numerous peacemaking principles that can be very helpful for peacemakers who wish to transform angry emotions into effective peacemaking techniques of assertiveness and advocacy. In this unit on anger, assertiveness, and advocacy, we discussed turning anger into appropriate and adaptive assertiveness and using those assertions to advocate for others. A peacemaker's ability to move participants towards more cooperative approaches, assert wants and needs with respect, and craft emotionally intelligent requests is vital for resolving most conflicts and disputes. We thank you for listening to today's podcast and encourage you to download a copy of this program's transcript so that you might better complete a short quiz over today's presentation.